everybody. I just wanted to do a quick live. I'm starting to see and hear from a lot of people a lot of frustration and general sense of kind of dread in terms of getting school done this year. So I want to make sure that I'm touching base with you and giving you some tips and tricks and things that you need. So each Sunday I will be here. I'm going to mess around and try different times and just kind of see how it works for people in terms of timeline. So today I wanted to, I copied it into a new document so I could see it and make sure I covered exactly what I wanted to cover and didn't try not to get off base. So today's question is one that I've probably seen consistently ever since I started homeschooling, if not even before that. And it is one I probably get personally about once a week. So this question was sent to me on Instagram, and it was when my almost 4 year old is at home doing his thing, then I can't do anything else with the other kids. He's so disruptive and he just doesn't allow me to do anything else, even though he knows that I'm going to be done in a few minutes. He just decides that he can't possibly share my attention. What can I do so I can teach my other kids and also keep my 4 year old entertained? Now, and this is going to be kind of this disclaimer for all of these. You can ask 10 moms the same question and get 10 different versions of an answer. So I'm going to give you several possible solutions, and you have to figure out what works for you and your family and your situation and the kids that you have and the parent that you are, because all those things are in place. We have a lot of moving pieces. So I can tell you that my boys are 2 years apart, and I homeschooled them at little ages, and they went into school for a little while, then they came back out of school, and so we've definitely had that. And then we had our little surprise. So we had a baby toddler preschooler in tow while we've been trying to school with my boys. And our personal thing that we did was, if you have more than two kids, it works really well to get one of the kids to work with the younger one or the multiple younger ones while you're having to do one-on-one lessons with one of the kids. If you only have two kids, then that's a great time to have toys that are designed specifically for when you're doing school with the other kids, or a show that they can look forward to, something special that they can look forward to that is specific to only kids. It's kind of like when you're breastfeeding an infant and they tell you that, your older toddler might be really jealous, have something special for them. It's like this in reverse. Your younger child might be really jealous, and so you got to figure out a way to help them stay feeling special and have something to look forward to. Excuse me, my allergies are killing me. And have something to look forward to and allow you the time you need. Now, the other thing I would say is now I've sucked the grape juice down wrong, is you have to keep in mind the ages. Like if you're homeschooling, if you have like a preschooler who's 4 and you're homeschooling a 6 year old, that 6 year old's attention span isn't very long. So your lessons aren't going to be very long either. So you start slowly trying to wean. This is another option is, you say, okay, buddy, I'm going to spend the next 5 minutes and here is a timer. Do you think you can show me what a big boy you are by building with your Legos for 5 minutes? And when the timer comes off, if you come and show me what your Lego is, I can do something special with you or for you, or you get a check mark. They can earn check marks towards a special treat, and it can be as simple as getting an extra TV show or I know in my house right now, our little one is earning check marks to get princess dresses because that's her big thing, and she's worked up to where she has to have 15 days of completing her schoolwork. She gets a check mark for each day, in order to earn her next dress. And that's the other thing. When you start doing those rewards, you would start really small, like a 5 minute timer. And then, like, once they've mastered that, you're like, you know what? I think you can do 7 minutes today, or 10 minutes, or 15 minutes, however you're starting and however you're adjusting. And what will happen is they will learn how to occupy themselves. Now, a 4 year old's probably not going to go longer than 15 minutes or so, maybe 20, and you feel comfortable with what they're doing. But if you're homeschool, if your kids are close in age and you're homeschooling like a 6 year old, they're probably not going to be able to stay completely attuned and focused to the lesson. After about 15 minutes, you're going to leave them to practice a skill probably. So that might be another option for you. Let's see. You can also bring your little ones in to your lessons. You know, they may not do your lesson, obviously, but have a coloring sheet, and they know that during school time, they sit and they learn, right? And that, they color, cut and paste is always a favorite, water paint, whatever you can do that's relatively easy, depends on your setup, how your supplies and things are set up. Beading is also a really, really good one. So something like that, that they are actually learning to, when we do schoolwork, we sit, or however you do it, right? Whatever your setup is, you start just incorporating them in and knowing that they're going to lose interest and walk off, but you're teaching them that if I'm working one on one with him, that this is his time. Um, the other suggestions I have are make sure that you fill the 4 year old's bucket or the toddler's bucket first. That way, they are probably, like, we like to think they want to be with us all the time. And when they're really small, they do. But as they get older, they want some independence to go off and play. And if they haven't done that, you can start teaching that. Mommy doesn't want to play that right now, but you can go play with that. You can go play this. And you might find that if you really start incorporating that they can have some of their own time, they will appreciate that as well. So I hope that kind of helps. I'm not big into at that age, and if they're just attention seeking, um, I don't think it's something that is like a disciplinary issue or whatever. I'm not big on that type of parenting, especially in this type of situation, because what they're really wanting, there's some jealousy or attention seeking in this type of situation. So if you don't give it to them in a positive way, they're going to keep trying to get it in a negative way. So you kind of are trying to find solutions that help fill that and prevent the jealousy before it gets started. And by, you know, including them or giving them a reward system if they're able to be big boys or big girls. Things like that help to reinforce the positive. And it's not going to work every day. You are going to find, even at 4, you may have to say, all right, we're going to have quiet time now. And they get quiet time in their room. Almost all the homeschoolers I know institute quiet time in the afternoon until like forever, just because by the afternoon you're all kind of sick of each other. And if you have to for a while, you can know on quiet time is the time I spend 15 minutes to do a lesson that might be more of a challenge. And just because it's not working now, as in this week, try something either identical to what you tried today that didn't work next week, or just tweak it just a little bit. And at 3, 4, 5, they are developing so quickly and changing so quickly that you will see changes faster than what you think. And so if you can be patient and just keep trying things over and over, eventually it's going to click and it's going to be okay. All right. I hope that that helps a little bit with that. Let's see if there's another one that we can kind of hit before we're done. We've got a couple more minutes. I wanted to keep these kind of short for you. Let's see. This is a good one that we can hit really quick. How much do you help your lower elementary kids? My child's in first grade. She is not an independent reader, so she needs help with questions and directions. Is it bad that I help her or help her think through her math problems? I don't think it's bad. Well, first of all, if they're not an independent reader, so I have a podcast coming out this week about the concept of what are you learning? What skill are you working on? And focus on the skill you're working on. If you're working on patterns or shapes in math and they can't read the instructions, then you need to read the instructions to them. You're not, the skill you're working on isn't reading, you're working on geometry and shapes. If they're working on even reading and they don't even understand how to get started, you just totally wiped out any way that they're going to learn because their bar for frustration has already you've moved their bar so high, right? They've already lost any hope of them not having this big cortisol spike. And once that happens, then they can't learn anyway. So I think definitely, my opinion is always reading directions is helpful, especially in these lower grades, unless the skill is reading directions, right? There are times when that is the skill, but most of the time in these lower grades, especially, it's not. Um, and kids who are in kindergarten, first, second, arguably all the way through college, don't have great reasoning skills yet. That's one of the developmental things that happens as we grow and we change and we mature. Our brains mature and our reasoning matures. And so, one of the great things when you're a homeschooler is that you're not teaching 21st graders and you can talk through math problems individually, for instance, and really help them kind of have this metacognition where they can see how you're thinking so they can learn to think about how they're thinking and increase those skills and share different ways to approach a math problem or why it's asking it the way it's asking and how to figure out what that means and link it to other knowledge and kind of scaffold the process is what we would call it in the education classroom world. But I mean, that's kind of what you're wanting to do in homeschool to begin with. You're there for them to do that, especially if you're not someone who's trying to work full time and you're on Zoom calls all day long. So you're needing to create this independence immediately. If you are someone like that, that's also okay. It's okay to say, this is how you do this. We've done this worksheet or work or workbook page or worksheet like this before. See if you can do this on your own. And if you can't, go to your next thing. And at my next break, I will come and talk to you about this one. And if you're homeschooling, probably like kindergarten, first, second grade, you've got another, hopefully either older child there to kind of help and check, or another adult that can kind of, I hope, tag team with you because I know it's a lot. So that I think it's fine to help our kids, especially in those lower elementary kids' ages, because you're helping them build the confidence and the skills they need to become more independent later. You're not creating like this codependence where they can't ever figure out how to read the directions of a worksheet and complete it. That you're not going to do that in first, second grade. You don't have to worry about that. All right. I think that's it for today. The next one I have on my, or the next three I have on my list are kind of big ones, and I don't want to start a whole other one. I want to make sure that you, like I said, these are kind of digestible. If you have a question and you want me to answer it on either the Solution Sunday on Facebook Live, I also have a podcast that's designed just for homeschoolers now. I address questions on that on Mondays as well. And it is something I try to email you guys back if you hit me up with a question so that you get an answer immediately. And they're always my opinions, but I try to give you lots of options. And if I don't, I try to give you a lot of reasons why I have that opinion so you can kind of decide for yourself whether you think that's something you could agree with or not. All right. So even if you are struggling right now in your homeschool, and I know a lot of people are, and I'll also tell you this before I go. October is the time where it starts getting real. It's like, oh, I loved it. A lot of places it's getting colder. We have all these COVID restrictions this year, all this stuff. And so, you might have been able to go to the pool and do things outside, and it's starting to get yucky where you live. And so you're starting to feel the tension that can mount. And this happens with people who started homeschooling this year or people who've been homeschooling for 10 years. It is a natural progression. You may be starting to get to a point where your curriculum isn't working as well anymore. So just know that every single parent, it's just like parenting, right? A lot of times we want to separate homeschooling and parenting, but the reality is every single parent, every single homeschooler has days when they're like, what have I done? What is going on? And that's never going to go away completely. And some days you just have to be like, it's going to be okay. No one's going to be ruined by what happened today. And a bit of encouragement for this year, especially, this is not a normal year. So your focus may be on maintaining levels and preventing losing skills. And if that's where you are because of your um, situation, whatever it be, I could list them all, but we all know everything that's going on in the world right now, whatever's going on, then that's okay, right? It's a season. We're not going to be in this season of life forever. So just try to have some compassion for yourself, some compassion for your kids, and some compassion for the other people who are doing all of this in the world, whatever solutions you are using for your homeschool or virtual school. Just let's all just try to have some patience and compassion, and it's going to be fine. All right. All right. I will see you next week. In between there, you can make sure to check the podcast. I'll put the link underneath, or you can send me a message on Facebook or Instagram, and I will either answer you immediately or if you would prefer, I address it on one of the podcasts or this show, I can answer you immediately and make sure it's okay to share. All right. Thanks. Have a great rest of your Sunday.